Joker.
What an intro.
I'm looking to make this about 20, 30 minutes. Hey everybody, you are tuned into the 8th episode of Greatest Hits on the Hundreds TV. My name is Free J Boozy, and I'll be taking you into the Hundreds archive every week, Tuesday 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Every Tuesday, we'll pull timeless classics out of the vault and tell you the stories behind each of them, as well as the designers and creatives that brought them to life. Now, while you watch, you'll be able to chat with other viewers and ask us questions about your favorites from the hundreds past. You can also hit the shopping cart tab and purchase these one-of-one pieces to add to your personal collection. Before we get into this week's haul from the vault, I just want to let you know we have a few products left over from last week. First, Ron English Atom Bomb, back from 2011. Very, very classic piece, very, very cool collab. Yeah, so this is still for sale. And then also we pulled out another piece from the vault to show you, because this will be uploaded in future weeks for Greatest Hits. So every single week we are uploading new inventory. And so we were digging in the vault. We posted Ron English last week, but then I found this piece. Another amazing Ron English piece from the same collab. So this is a size small, so be looking forward to this piece in future Greatest Hits episode drops. Okay, awesome. Another big highlight from last week is the Jackson Pollock Modernica chair that was released in 2017. This joint is still for sale. Can be yours for the personal home art collection. So again, what's really cool about this, just a quick couple details about it. It is directly ripped from a part of Jackson Pollock's studio floor. So it's kind of just like an overlay retrospective of his entire his career as an artist. It's kind of represented in all of the splatter paint techniques that were done for like about 3 years during his career. So you can own this wonderful, very, very, very rare Modernica Eames Jackson Pollock chair by the hundreds. Cool, so we're gonna get into this week's pieces, and I'm gonna go read something and see if you can figure it out, what exactly I'm referring to. A timeless American brand, rife with legacy and cultural history, amassing a devout niche following by encouraging grassroots awareness and community. Now, we could be talking about the hundreds, but what I'm referring to is the Grateful Dead. Now, the Grateful Dead and their fiercely loyal fan base are legendary in American music history for their cavalier approach to the record industry, merchandising, and touring. Now, while some major acts lash at bootleggers or for pirating their live music sets or band merch, Metallica, the Grateful Dead have always encouraged it. And that creates like a certain sense of community. You know what I mean? Like it can kind of be reference towards like the Napster thing of the 90s, where Metallica went and decided to sue all of the people and Napster that were illegally downloading their music. The Grateful Dead had the opposite approach, where bootleg merchandise and recordings were completely, okay by the band. And that also, like, the cool thing about Grateful Dead is they have a lot of records, but the most popular recordings that they have are generally live, obscure live sets, like 1983 live at Buckeye, or 1977 live at Cornell, if you want to check out a good reference. Also, shout out Chad Greenberg, our visual communications director, for plugging us with those amazing references to bring to the audience today. So yeah, the internet is a treasure trove of official and unofficial Dead merch. You can actually go on Instagram. There's a bunch of vintage sellers that are always doing like good curation and stuff like that. So a couple like good vintage resellers. This guy Deadhead has like a crazy collection of vintage Grateful Dead merch. And so a lot of this unofficial Dead merch goes back to half a century or more. Because again, the Dead started in 1965 in Palo Alto, California, right? So ever since the band's origin, they have had unofficial and bootleg merch about all of those road-worthy stories, kind of showing the decades worth of stories that are like kind of surrounding the band. So in the spirit of the Dead's DIY culture, the Hundreds made their own bootleg Grateful Dead t-shirt back in the day, which sparked the conversation with the band about official collab. This is actually the shirt I'm currently wearing. We sold a purple one on the second or third episode of Greatest Hits, if I remember correctly. So whoever has that tee, I hope it's in a good home. Now, this collection would go down as probably one of the brand's most iconic collabs. The Hundreds being the first outside entity to ever be able to allow to modify any of the Dead's logos or mascots in any way was like a huge milestone for the brand. So they were the first people to ever be able to alter the Bertha logo, which we're going to go through later, and a lot of other stuff. And yeah, also it was really cool about when this released in 2013, it dropped on 420. So, you know, shout out 420, smoke up. And then also they did a really cool pop-up up in San Francisco, the birthplace of the counterculture movement and where the Grateful Dead kind of functioned as a band for years and years. They did a pop-up on 420 in the Haight-Ashbury district, which is a historically psychedelic ground zero for the counterculture movement. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of background history of like, you know, the Grateful Dead and exactly why we're going over this stuff. So one of the things that is really significant to me is Bob Weir, the lead singer and guitar player of Grateful Dead, started this band in 1965 in Palo Alto, California, with the legendary Jerry Garcia. Bob Weir was only 16 years old. That's like insane to like just kind of pick up your life and then start this whole psychedelic movement at such a young spirit at 16. And so another really cool thing about the Dead is that I think draws a lot of parallels towards a brand like the Hundreds is the Grateful Dead was one of the first bands to establish a nationwide mailing list. So essentially, the Grateful Dead started social networking before you could even conceptualize the idea of social media or social networking or being interconnected through social profiles. So they had their mailing list where they would update their fans on, you know, upcoming concerts, festivals. They would share fan art, they would share flyers. They would really just have a wide variety of ways of contacting their community, right? And so as I'm explaining this, I can't stop thinking about the early days on the Hundreds blog, how the Hundreds blog back in the day, back in the 2000s and 2010s was one of the first platforms that really was there for their community, the streetwear community, right? And so it has a lot of parallels because in the way that the Grateful Dead was organizing their social network through mailing, and of course this is pre-internet, pre-social media, the Hundreds kind of elaborates that decades and decades later with the Hundreds blog. So, you know, it's about connecting the communities and telling these stories, right? Also, the whole thing about the bootleg merch and tape culture, again, back to like the whole Metallica issue, is that the Grateful Dead saw that as a way to enhance their presence and to enhance their community and a way to have people more interconnected. So it's not really about that you didn't buy the t-shirt from the band, at least you're rocking the merch and being part of the movement, right? So yeah. So let's move into some of these pieces. I'm just gonna rest my trusty notes and run of show made by the wonderful editorial director, Andrew London. Thank you, Andrew, for all the great work you're doing on the Hundreds TV. I'm gonna rest it on the Jackson Pollock Moderna Eames chair that is still for sale on the Hundreds Greatest Hits. Cool, so we're gonna start with the Rose Atom. So these, first of all, heaters, right? So a few really cool things about this piece is this is referenced off of the 1971 self-titled record, Grateful Dead from 1971. And it has like the OG graphic of like a skeleton with a rose crown on. And so the Hundreds flipped it with, you know, our most iconic mascot ever, Atom. So this is an atom bomb rose. And if you go ahead and you Google Grateful Dead Bertha, the Bertha is this skeleton figure with the rose crown. And so this is a reinterpretation of that. So yeah, just a little bit of story of how we even came across this big collection. So we were digging through, we're reorganizing our warehouse currently, and we have a very, very, very big facility where we do all of our fulfillment and all of our printables out of. And our warehouse manager, Fu, was organizing a bunch of pallets that were really high on these rafters. And he's like, yo, Ben, I found some of the Grateful Dead stuff from 2013. And so, you know, this stuff hasn't been available since 7 years ago. We wanted to, you know, recapture the history and the whole brand experience about how this was the first official Grateful Dead collab where the visual assets were actually able to be redesigned and reimagined. So that's all goes back to like the licensing deliverables and deal points, but nobody had ever been able to fully alter the artwork of the Grateful Dead until now. So again, these are for sale now on the shopping tab. So if you're just joining us, this is the 100's Greatest Hits. We are here every Tuesday, Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is a brand retrospective where we're gonna take you through our vault and curate collections of old 100's classics for your personal collection. You can also ask questions in the chat box. You can answer any questions to the best of my ability. I'm Free J Boozy, you're on Greatest Hits. So again, also, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the set decor we have today. So this is really cool. So this piece through music, I think kind of the ethos behind that really resonates right now, especially with all the social unrest that America's currently facing and the divide that has been created through politics. So this is really cool though. So this is from the Amoeba Records 100's collab, and this is actually part of the display that we had in their windows. So RIP Amoeba Records. Oh my God, it is literally so sad. So Amoeba Records was basically at the corner of Cahuenga and Sunset Boulevard in the heart of Hollywood. And so if you're not from Los Angeles, California, or you don't live here, Los Angeles is always changing at a very, very rapid rate. And what's unfortunate about that is as the city develops and changes and more housing and bigger buildings go up so more people can live here, part of the identity of the city is lost, right? So it's really unfortunate what happened with Amoeba Records. If you don't know what Amoeba Records is, I would really suggest going on YouTube and looking up What's in My Bag and looking at the record series where they interview celebrities about their favorite records. So Amoeba Records was a cultural and musical institution in Los Angeles, probably the biggest selection of vinyl I've ever seen in one place in my life. And so what's really sad is the 100's did a collab with them a few years ago, but Amoeba Records has permanently closed their original location on Sunset. And so this is part of the display that we had that was literally they left that display up for years. And so one day I had to go to Amoeba and collect it because they were closing the store. And so yeah, this is from the Amoeba Records display. And so what's really cool about this is Bobby 100's just got all of the staff together and everybody just had kind of a group session and just created all these really cool signs. Okay, so moving back onto the product. Let's go with the Bears. Cool, so we actually have 3 variations of the Bears t-shirt. So we have it in black. Also, exciting news, everybody. We have our new greatest hits hang tags that just came in. So shout out David Rivera and Chad Greenberg, 2 of our amazing designers for creating this. So every greatest hits purchase now comes with a verifier. Look at that. So again, it's really cool because as we're developing this television show, we're also developing new assets and new creative things. So this is the OG Greatest Hits logo, hand-drawn by Bobby 100's. Now we have our OG 100% authentic Greatest Hits hang tag that comes with every purchase. So yeah, back to the Bears t-shirt. We have this in 3 variations. We have it in black. We have it in gray. We also have the very rare 100's tank top. So we don't really have many tank tops throughout the brand history. This is one of them. So this is fire. Honestly, this is such a summer cop, Jesus. I feel like I'm on the beach already, on the beach doing weird paper things on my tongue, So just a little bit of background information about the bear. Some people say, yo, so where does the bear come from? And so Jerry Garcia, who was one of the vocalists and guitar players of Grateful Dead, most people know him as the guy with the beard and the hair that's on all the t-shirts, right? Or the guy that has his own Ben and Jerry's flavor, right? And so what's really cool about Jerry is he had this kind of larger than life mystical persona, right? Feeling a little parched. I'm so glad I have my the Hundreds Fool's Gold Nalgene from 2019. Shout out A-Track, best DJ on the planet. That was a cool collab, actually. Especially we're talking about music-based things, Fool's Gold Records, amazing record label. Go check out A-Track and all the amazing music they're doing off the West Coast or the East Coast via the West Coast. So yeah, back to the Bears. So Jerry Garcia was a larger than life persona of the Grateful Dead. He was a guitar player and a singer in the band, right? Also, like very high musical ability, but a very modest guitar player. He was never really going Jimmy Page ham, you know what I mean? He really played what needed to be played and was a very supportive, melodic, and solo role in the band. So Jerry was, pretty round guy. He really liked to eat. He had other vices that kind of like allowed his health to decline very steadily towards the end of his life. But he was a teddy bear. His nature, his presence was very teddy bear-like. So Jerry the Bear became a thing, right? So this is the illustrated personification of Jerry Garcia's spirit. And this has 5 bears on it, but total there are 9 bear characters. And so, yeah, you can always check that stuff out. So yeah, this is available now in 3 variations. The bear shirt, greatest hits, all size large, available now. Then also, if you check out my shirt, this is kind of like an extended, a take on that. Man, like the camera just looks so good. Also want to thank our photography team, Beth and Allison, for helping us with all of our technical capabilities here at the Hundreds Greatest Hits. Go for this one. Cool, so this is Grateful Dead Circle T. So first of all, this is a here. What's really cool about this is it kind of it has 2 of the major Grateful Dead logos and elements in their aesthetic, and then also our biggest mascot, the atom bomb. What's really cool about this atom is illustrated in a way that meets the exact aesthetic of Grateful Dead. Also, something very rare for a Hundreds t-shirt, and that's also goes through vintage culture in general. So when you look at Screen Stars tees, early AAA tees, I'm talking about vintage blanks, all screens, they love to add the year of when the t-shirt was produced. So for instance, if it's a 1992 Grateful Dead tee, probably says 1992 in very, very, very small font on the front of it. What's really cool about this Hundreds collab, and I'll show you in the zoom in a second, but this was made in 2013 and it's stamped with the date, the year on the shirt. So that's very in the aesthetic and in the sort of vintage tradition. So yeah, what's really cool about this, I'm gonna do a zoom up in a second. We have Jerry's Bears, we have Jerry the Bear, we have Atom Bomb, and we also have the Steal Your Face logo. And so that's probably the Grateful Dead logo that most people are familiar with. It's actually the graphic that's on this hoodie right back here. We're gonna go over that in a second. So yeah, we're gonna do a zoom up of this. So illustrated Adam, Jerry the Bear, Steal Your Face. Cool, so yeah, this is available on Greatest Hits right now in 2 styles. We have the tie-dye, classic tie-dye swirl. We also have black. You know, I love black tees. I'm wearing a lot of white lately because it's been hot in LA, but always good black tea. Also, another thing to kind of highlight is the Steal Your Face Atom logo lockup. Awesome. So yeah, and in terms of and if you're just joining us, you're watching Greatest Hits on the Hundreds television. I am Jay Boozy. I am here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, taking you through the Hundreds archive. This is a brand retrospective. We're pulling personal pieces out of the Hundreds vault for you to add to your personal collection. So again, there's a shopping cart tab. All of the pieces and any of the pieces that we are discussing are available for purchase right now. So this is a live shopping channel. So at every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, we are dropping new products. And today we are highlighting the 2013 collab between the Grateful Dead and the Hundreds. Now this was the first official collab where a brand, the Hundreds, was allowed to edit and reconceptualize the actual artwork of the Grateful Dead. And we have done that in this collection through the Steal Your Face, the Bertha, and the Sunrise. So we're gonna go through the Steal Your Face. So this is, for me, this is the cherry on top of the whole drop this week. We got the pull over. So what's really cool is we don't really post a lot of hoodies on Greatest Hits. It's mainly a t-shirt retrospective, right? And especially since we have a lot more t-shirt inventory of great classics from the Hundreds vault, it's really, really sick to have a nice thick hoodie to add to the collection, to add to the vault that is available for purchase right there on the shopping cart tab. So yeah, what's really cool about this is probably the most well-known Grateful Dead logo. You know, you see this literally in all wakes of life. And so just to kind of bring home what we were talking about in the beginning of the episode, how the Grateful Dead established a network and a community, very, very similar to the way the Hundreds has, right? And so if you think about this logo, you know this is the Grateful Dead. And this is something I was touching on last episode about the significance of graphics like the atom bomb and like the Steal Your Face. So this doesn't have any word branding, yet you know it's the Grateful Dead, right? With atom bomb, where's that one English to go? Atom bomb, or matter of fact, any of the bomb graphics that we've done in the past, you know that's the Hundreds. You know exactly what it is. You know exactly what it means. You know exactly where it comes from. So with that being one of the greatest visual representations in streetwear, and this being one of the greatest visual representations in music, it kind of came naturally that when we had the opportunity to work with the brand, that this is definitely something we wanted to logo lock and reconceptualize. So this is the first official collab, because remember I was talking about how Grateful Dead has such a rich tradition of having bootleg merch and tapes distributed and sold all around the world by various collectors and various fans of the band. So this is the first official collab that this graphic was ever edited. So that's really cool. And now it's for sale for the first time on Greatest Hits since 2013. It's available today for your purchase. And yeah, so this is a size large. Also, I didn't get a chance to show you the tag that we did for this collection as well. We'll give you a zoom up shot of that. Our technology is not really allowing that right now. There we go. So yeah, check it. We have the Grateful Dead Hundreds logo lockup on the tag. So yeah, this piece is available now on Greatest Hits. It's extremely rare and is also one of the strongest collabs the Hundreds has ever done in the brand history. So yeah, this is available now. The shopping cart tab on the 100's greatest hits. So this is the Sunrise Daydream. There's a lot of history behind this shirt. It's very, very, very heady. And so it's not really like a secret that the Grateful Dead and the huge LSD movement and craze of the 60s, with Ken Keasley creating acid for the masses in a laboratory in Northern California, I'm pretty sure. Right, Duke? Yeah, basically, my producer's giving me a nod that that's fact checked, that it's fact is checked. So yeah, LSD hit the counterculture movement in probably the most positive and yet negative way, because it introduced a world to a group of young people that they didn't know previously existed. So if you can imagine the psychoactive effects of taking LSD and actually hallucinating, introducing you into a world of color, of emotion, of feeling, of unity, of interconnectedness with your peers that was completely undiscovered, you know? And of course, what did the police do? They criminalized and demonized that, you know? So all of a sudden, this was like kind of a precursor of the war on drugs. But initially, LSD was introduced into the counterculture movement as a very positive psychoactive drug, something that would enhance your perspective, enhance love for one another, enhance your knowledge of this earth, of all of the matter that's surrounding you. And so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so there are 13 points to this shirt, which kind of corresponds with the 13 steps that it takes to create LSD. So you can kind of see how the sunrise, you know, the sunrise is enhancing your vision, enhancing your surroundings, enhancing your world with light. And that kind of goes hand in hand with enhancing your surroundings, enhancing your world and perspective with LSD, or better known as acid, or L, or Lucy, or what else we got? What else we got, Duke? No. So yeah, again, both of these shirts, these variations are available currently on Greatest Hits by the 100's. And if you're just joining us, this is the live shopping network every Tuesday here at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Free J Boozy. I take you through the 100's vault every single week. And just to let you know, I've been hosting this show. This is our 8th episode now. Just to give you a little bit of background on what exactly I do at the 100's. I'm a marketing assistant, so I help with I help be a liaison between creative and corporate agendas and meet in the middle. So part of that initiative is storytelling, and a big part of the history of the 100's is all about storytelling. And you can refer to our blog for literally almost 20 years of online digital content, storytelling about the 100's and different collabs we've done in the past, different projects, Bobby's perspective, Ben's perspective, many perspectives of old editorial contributors from the past and today. So it kind of focuses as like a streetwear hub that encapsulates all of that stuff. There's a lot of really great information about the 420 pop-up in SF that I was talking about, and a lot of other stories that we were sharing earlier in today's episode. So you can always reference the history of the 100's through the website, right? And then you can always reference the history of a band like the Grateful Dead through clothing, because like I was saying, with the rich culture of bootleg merch and recordings, you can kind of like tell your own unique story through the platform of the Grateful Dead, much how the 100's takes brands, artists, movies, TV shows, anime, whatever it is that we're funneling through the 100's storytelling machine. That parallel exists in the Grateful Dead world. So again, these two tees available now on the 100's greatest hits, with a bunch of other products. So every single week we do a new drop on Tuesday. There are still a few pieces from past episodes still available. So, and if you have any questions, you can always hit the chat box. I think that about sums it up today. Shout out Chad, our visual director, for his one contribution to the show today. Thanks, Chad. We appreciate you, buddy. for not showing up. No, but again, thank you to everybody that has checked into this week's episode of Greatest Hits. Thank you everybody who tuned in or copped a piece of vintage this week or in the past. You can check us out again, like I was saying, every Tuesday here at 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Hundreds TV, and hit the app or go to the online shop to get your hands on any of the Greatest Hits pieces we featured on today's show. Follow the Hundreds Instagram for Greatest Hits. It's at the Hundreds Greatest Hits. We update the Instagram with products, behind the scenes footage, everything. And like always, I'm Free J Boozy, and we will catch you next week here on Greatest Hits. Thanks, everybody.